Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man Podcast. My name is Rory Paquette, which you already know. I don't even know why I say that anymore. As always, you're a very grateful host. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. And my word for the day has been grateful. I put some posts out on social media here recently about being grateful, about acknowledging what you have, how many beautiful things you have in your life. And one of the reasons is because I coach people, I interview people, I have people call into the podcast every day. And I hear folks who are having real live, honest to God problems. And, they're worried about their homes. They're worried about their marriages. They're worried about their children. I've got people fighting cancer, who are calling in. Listen, somewhere out there, somebody wants your life. Somebody wishes for a life like you have right now. And we get so caught up in all the nonsense. We get caught up in, well, this didn't go exactly right, or I didn't make enough money over here. Folks, gentlemen, guys, trust me. Be grateful for what you got because you got it better than most. And I already know that before I'm even talking to you. Be grateful, live bountifully. We have things to do. So thank you to everybody who was listening and who was willing to jump out there and live grateful. I am grateful for you because we wouldn't be here with thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads in 40 countries and everything else that's happened for our podcast. If it wasn't for you sitting over there listening, I wouldn't be over here talking. So I am grateful for you today and I'm glad you're here. Now, if you're a friend of the program, you know what we got to do next. Oh, yeah, we got to pay a couple bills. So let's get ready. It's time for our preferred beverage. Man, folks, in addition to being our sponsor, it's great. It's great stuff. And I'm going to be drinking it through the whole episode, so you'll know. Freedom Hill Coffee, at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Look them up. Check them out. Deep, dark, rich, bold, beautiful, just like my wife. They have some fantastic coffee over there. They brew a mean bean. They do all the right things for all the right reasons. They support veterans, which is why we support them, because you all know how important veterans are to the Power of Man podcast. Folks, check them out at Freedom Hill Coffee and tell them Power of Man sent you. You will not be sorry. One more sip of this before we get to this awesome guy that I have sitting across the table from me. There we go. All right. Now, I've brought some health and fitness guys on here before. Very seldom do we get to bring on health and fitness guys who also are talking to Christian men about leading, about doing what they should do with their families, about going out there and taking care of business. This guy has it all going on. Okay. As he and I talked about what to talk about during the show, we're completely aligned in just about everything. So I want you to hear his story. I want you to hear where he came from. And I want you to hear some of the things that he has to say about how we live our lives today. I think it will help you. And I think that it matters. So pay attention, get a drink, pull up a chair, and let's sit down for a minute and let's listen to men's strength and nutrition coach Sean McManus. How you doing, Sean?
I'm great, Roy. Thank you, man, for having me on. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's great to be with you guys today. Um, Grateful to be here. Grateful to be here talking to your audience, and just looking forward to this awesome episode.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all that, man. All right. Well, listen, let's just cut right to the chase. We got a lot of husbands and fathers listening. Our audience is about 80% husbands and dads and people who want to become husbands and dads one day. We do have a 20% group that's growing actually. That is women and they're moms and wives and daughters. And I think they're listening, trying to, help their husbands. So, you're talking to all these people today. Sean, go ahead and tell all of our listeners who is Sean McManus and what are you about, man?
Yeah, man. So we'll just kind of start at the beginning. Grew up in a very big family on a small farm in the foothills of North Carolina. Had an awesome childhood. Enjoyed life on the farm. Learned a great work ethic from my dad, from farm chores, all the good stuff there. So I really enjoyed that. Actually went to college for agriculture. Went to NC State University. Graduated from there in 2014. So did a 2-year technical degree there. So from there, I stepped into corporate America for a poultry production company as a supervisor. So did that, pretty consistent with that. Actually, I ran that job for about 8 years. During that time period, I'd always known growing up and while I was there that at some point in time I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I'd always wanted to build something. I had always wanted to be my own boss, set my own schedule. really just run things the way that I wanted to do them. So throughout my journey in corporate America, that kind of passion just continued to grow and grow the longer I was there. So we kind of came to a point in the road where my second son, we got pregnant with our second child, and at the time, well, we're still a single income household, but at the time we were also a single income household. So I was the only breadwinner in the family. My wife does an incredible job taking care of the kiddos, taking care of the house, and just doing the incredibly important work of mom and homemaking, where there's very little financial reward, but it's an endless job at times. But she does an incredible job. So one of the most important jobs out there. But
Absolutely.
so we it just came to a point. I was like, okay, well, there's really not any opportunity for me to move up in this company. Um, we were already pretty tight financially, so I knew that when we got pregnant with our second child, I was like, okay, well, I've got a decision to make. I know that God's got something for me. I know that He's going to take care of us. So I started looking um, during that time period leading up to our second son's birth, and found a position, a sales position with a solar company. So completely left field compared to what I've been doing. It was 100% commission. Um, so anyway, I went down and did a couple of interviews with them. Kind of a weird process. Didn't understand it completely, but I was promised lots of money quickly, and I was like, you know what? I can figure this out. I can talk to people. No big deal. I'll make some money. This has to happen. Something has to change in order for us to keep paying the bills. So it just kind of came to that breaking point. It's like, all right, something has to go, and we're going to give this a shot. So left my company of 8 years, went full time into this door to door sales solar position. Um, did
Tough.
that for oh my gosh, man, you talk about tough. It was hard,
Yeah.
um, but I did it. There was multiple days where I was very anxious. I can definitely tell you during that time period, my faith in God grew tremendously, um, for a couple of reasons. One being I had to solely rely on Him for the finances, because I'd always thought of myself as okay, I do rely on God for my finances. Like, I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian for a long time. Like, that's just part of who I am. Well, I challenge people. I'm like, okay, if you think that you rely on God for your finances, go ahead and leave the company that's been paying your bills for the last almost decade, and then tell me whether or not you trust God with your finances.
Wow.
Um, because that was a slap in the face for me. Uh, I really learned quickly that in some aspect I probably did trust God for my finances, but this company that was writing the checks every month is now gone, and they weren't writing those checks anymore.
Yeah.
So that was a very trying time period. But I did that for full time for about 3 or 4 months, and then our son was born, and I really disliked the job. I didn't like the way the company did business, and it just didn't sit right with me. So knew that we had to make another change. So I started doing home repair work again. I had done some of that in the past. Started doing that full time. That was another thing that I didn't really have built up. So that was another trusting God. It's like, okay, God, bring me customers. I did go back to the door knocking experience that I have with the solar company, and I knocked on doors for home repair work. Um, so did that for a little while. So during this whole process, I had been training some guys in fitness online. So that was a part of my story I kind of skipped over. I've been really consistent and really intentional with my fitness and nutrition for about the last decade.
Hmm. Okay.
So when you do something for that long, obviously you pick up some stuff and you learn some stuff, whether it's through trial and error. I had done a lot of research. I had worked with a coach prior. He had taught me a lot of stuff. And so I was helping some buddies. They were like, hey, we want to get in shape. You're in shape. I was like, okay, well, I can help you with that. So I was doing a little bit of that on the side. So I had this online training program that I was working, and then I had this home repair business that I was working. So I had two businesses going at one time. Um, both of them brand new. Both of them needed to grow. I was trying to spend time growing both of them, um, and it finally kind of came to a point. It was like, okay, I'm growing both of these businesses. This home repair business is not something that I want long term. It was just something that I knew I could do in the moment and maybe
Mhm.
make some money.
Sure.
Um, so it got to a point that I was like, okay, well, this fitness stuff is something I'm very passionate about. It is a big problem that I see in Christian culture today, particularly Christian men. So that's where I feel God is calling me. And I kind of had this, all of this is laced with prayer and, lots of time trying to figure out what to do and what direction to go. And I was talking to God one day and I just kind of, I felt him tell me is like, I need you to help make my men strong again. I was like, okay, well, that really resonated with me. So we stopped doing home repair work. I found some people that were really good in this online space that were further ahead than me, that our values aligned. And I started working with them and they started helping me grow this online men's strength and nutrition business. And that's where we are currently right now.
Brother, I'm feeling so many different pieces of your journey right now. I mean, I know you're a lot younger than I am and stuff, but oh my gosh, man. I've been there. I've been
Oh
there, and,
man,
and I hear it in your voice, and I'm like, I know the trepidation and am I really doing this? And trusting God and going, hey, if you're calling me for this, here I go. Don't let me fall,
absolutely.
man. You
Absolutely.
know? I also want to applaud you before we go any further on, the idea that, your wife is a stay-at-home mom, taking care of things. I love the way you even approach that. My wife was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years, man, and I have three kids that are all grown and gone. They would not be those kids if it hadn't been for all the sacrifices we make so that she could have been a stay-at-home mom.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I'm with you. I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you're out willing to go out there and just sling it and work multiple jobs and do whatever. Um, we made that decision. We may not have the best vacations and we may not have every single thing they ever want, but we'll have everything they need and they're going to have you at home. And
Absolutely.
it was so great. And to hear another, a younger man, heading into his life with two young kids, just thinking the same way. Yeah, it fills my cup, man. Just sitting here listening to that because it's just great. That's not an old guy thing. I mean, looking at a young guy doing this, it makes me very proud.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It's just something I'm extremely convicted on. And I was blessed growing up. That's what my dad did. My mom, she stayed at home. I am one of seven siblings. Um,
Wow.
so my mom stayed home and homeschooled all of us on top of taking care of us. So she's a superhero.
Seven kids homeschooling?
Seven kids homeschooled. Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
she's a saint. There's no other way to describe her.
Shout out to your mom, man.
But absolutely, absolutely. Hi, mom.
That's beautiful.
but uh, but yeah, and then my dad, he just worked his butt off to make sure we had everything that we needed. And so I got to grow up. I am grateful in the sense that I got to grow up witnessing that. So that was normal for me growing up. It was
Awesome.
normal for the man to take the lead and to do whatever needed to be done to make sure that the family was provided for. And that's just the same mindset that I've taken into my life. And I've told my wife that multiple times. I'm like, I will work until my fingers bleed to be able to keep you at home. And that's just something I'm super convicted on.
That's awesome. Don't ever lose that conviction. That's fantastic. I love that that you guys are rooted in faith. I love that you're rooted in that. So now the part of your story, obviously, you're in poultry production. I assume that's where they're chopping the chickens up and put them parts as parts type of thing, right?
Yeah. So my job specifically was, so the way that industry works is the company, in most cases, the company independent contracts with a farmer. Okay. The company owns the chickens, the farmer owns the equipment, the housing, and all of that stuff.
Hmm.
So my job, I had multiple houses, multiple farms that I was over, and I had to visit them once to a couple times per week, do reports, make sure birds were growing like they were supposed to, make sure production was where it was at, make sure that they had feed when they needed feed, make sure the systems were operating correctly. So that's kind of what my gig looked like there.
Wow. And you did that for 8 years.
Yep.
And then you just decided, I need more money. My wife's staying at home. We have another kid. I need more money. I'm not going to get it here. So you jumped.
That was pretty much it. And I had been thinking about it for many years. I had actually almost done it a few years prior with my home repair business that I had started a while back. I did it part time, just here and there, catching jobs. Actually, when we had our first son, I was trying to make some extra income, and so I started doing some stuff there, and just kept the business open. But I wasn't actively pursuing it, and like work wasn't really coming. I had to go get it.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Nice. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
yep.
And I love that you're willing to do it. I know that the fitness idea, I see how that comes about. And you were already doing, home improvement and being an independent contractor, commission only, doing the solar sales door to door, which is grueling, rough work. I mean, getting doors slammed in your face, brother. I know. Holy
The
cow.
worst one was a guy meeting me in the driveway with his pistol.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really
yeah,
did
that
not
was
want solar.
no, just didn't want to talk to me. I was like, I'm a pretty friendly guy. Like I'm not going to push it over on you.
He wasn't letting you get anywhere near his door.
No, sir. Met me in the driveway.
Goodness gracious, people are nuts, man.
Oh man.
Just nuts. But I love that. So you've kind of you got this entrepreneurial, sort of spirit going on. Was there a point in time or something that sort of like a light switch went on that said, "Hey, I need to be my own boss," or was it something that happened gradually for you?
So I've always felt that way to some extent. Um, the thing that probably really flipped it on to me was we had gone on a family beach trip, and I was riding back home with my brother. Now, my brother is a business owner. He started a business when he was 17 or 18. So he started a business then, and we were driving home. I believe both of our wives were asleep in the back seat, and just out of the blue, we were talking about something, but just out of the blue, he looked at me and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "You are way too comfortable." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "What's the deal with this job?" I was like, "It's my job. Like I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's just there." And he's like, "Man, you could be doing so much more." And I was just like, "Okay." Like it kind of took me, but it was like a wake up basically. It's like him shaking me. He was like, "What's happening in your life right now?" And this is my younger brother, mind you. So
Oh wow.
wise younger brother. Um, so anyway, that conversation kind of started a personal development journey. He had been listening to some books and some podcasts for his business. I had never done that. I didn't even really know podcasting was a thing. It was before it got really big. This was a long time ago.
Sure.
But he started. He actually gave me access to his Audible account. So he had already had several kind of sales books, several entrepreneurial books, um, self improvement books that he had listened to that he had access to. So he actually gave me access to his account. He said, this is one I want you to listen to first. And then, start listening to books after that. So that kind of started my journey of just learning almost the other side of the world that
Mhm.
we don't talk about as quote unquote normal middle class people. And it's like, hey, there's more to life than working a job that you hate to barely get by for eternity.
That's very well said. Exactly. Exactly. So your brother kind of gave you that final nudge of you can do more. Go check it out.
He did. Yep, he
That's
did.
that's great. If he's listening, shout out to him too.
Shout out to him. Yep,
Way to go, man. Now you're doing the fitness thing, right? And you said it's all online, right?
it is correct.
Okay. And I know from talking to you before, one-on-one coaching is what you specialize in. All right. I also know that as important as all this is to you, your faith is incredibly important to you.
Yes.
Tell me where that comes from and what impact that has on your daily life and your business.
Yeah. So I would credit my parents first and foremost. Jesus was always front and center. growing up. I don't ever remember a time where he wasn't. So I was extremely blessed to grow up in a household that put Jesus first. And that was a big part of our homeschooling as well, is because, even 25 years ago, my parents kind of saw where the government public education was heading and decided that, they wanted to be in charge of what we learned, and they wanted to make sure that we had a Christ centered um, schooling and upbringing. So that's where I would say it comes from. Um, just like any Christian, I've kind of had my ups and downs in my faith, and by that I mean, not to the point to where I've ever really gone to the point to where it's like it's nothing to me, but I've had seasons where I feel like I'm super strong in my faith. I've had seasons where I've let other things take more of a precedence,
Yeah.
and whenever I get in one of those seasons where things just I just don't feel close to Christ, I can look back and see kind of what I'm doing differently. And it's, I'm putting business over time with him, or, I'm stressed about money, or because I'm not taking that time to actually pursue an active relationship with him. Because that's how you build faith. It's just that personal relationship with Christ, spending time with him in prayer, spending time with him in the word, spending time with his saints in the church. So there's been these time periods where I just feel like I'm just not close to him right now, and that just is almost like a alarm going off that's saying, hey, you're putting your priorities, you're putting things above him that shouldn't be above him, and you need to get back to putting him on the pedestal of your life.
Yeah, for sure. I understand. I absolutely understand that. When you're doing your one-on-one coaching, are you doing life coaching also, or bringing faith into it in some capacity, or is it just strictly, hey, hands off, one-on-one, physical stuff, nutrition? I'm just curious.
No, so yeah, we hit on whatever we need to hit on. So I've got guys in there. We've prayed together. I've got men in there that we've talked marriage before. I got guys celebrating wins that are like, hey, my wife is seeing me being consistent. My wife is seeing me, take this leadership role in making sure that I'm taking care of myself. And now she's coming alongside me. Now she is working out. Now she wants to eat better. We're having more sex because of this. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we celebrate. So we do focus on strength and nutrition, but man, we go marriage, we go life stuff, like whatever we need to do is what we're going to do. So the strength and nutrition piece is just one piece of that puzzle.
Nice. I'm glad to see that you're incorporating all that. That does that ever get sticky, or a little tight, or do you find that it's just a smooth transition because the right people are being attracted to you?
I would say it's a pretty smooth transition. Now, as far as like the programming, I don't really advertise it as quote unquote life coaching.
Hmm.
It's just one of those things. It's like, okay, we're going to focus on your strength and your nutrition, and we do weekly formal check-ins, but we also do like communication throughout the day. It's like I talk all the time with my clients. So a lot of the times in those conversations, stuff just comes up. It's like one of the questions that I ask my clients every week is like, okay, how are your stress levels? Because stress levels impact sleep, they impact your hormone levels, they impact the decisions that you're making with your nutrition,
Yeah.
like all of that stuff. So oftentimes that opens up other conversations. It's like, hey, I'm stressed about this with my marriage. I'm stressed about this with my job. Um, I'm stressed about this with my kids. So when that kind of stuff comes up, that's when we kind of dig a little bit deeper. Hey, brother, praying for you. We do that. Um, I've spent a lot of time working on my own marriage through studying, through working with coaches and things like that. So I'm able to kind of transfer a lot of that knowledge to my clients. So all of that stuff kind of ties in together.
That's awesome. Now, do you have a one size fits all program, or is it different levels? Or I mean, how do you put that together with somebody if they contact you and say, "Hey, I really need some help." What does that look like from that moment forward?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of different options. We have our main one, which is a 12-week minimum commitment. I don't do a month to month basis because, you know, physical fitness, just like everything else, is not a easy button.
Right.
So you can work on it for a month. You're definitely going to feel better. Your energy is going to be better, but we kind of take it in a slow process. And that first month, especially because I work with a lot of beginners, so that first month is a lot of getting used to equipment. It's a lot of getting used to, okay, I need to eat this way when
Mhm.
I've been eating this way. These are the things I need to focus on with my nutrition. So it's kind of just building those habits from the ground up, in those first few weeks. And then we start building intensity. And then, through that process, they've learned proper form, they've learned proper eating. And then we just kind of have a launch pad from there just to start seeing some results.
Nice.
So that's the main package.
Nice. Now you've got some very strong feelings on where men need to be on family, things like that. I know we can talk about those as we kind of answer these next couple of questions, but you're you are about bringing together men's fitness and their faith. I think one of the things that you said was honoring God through how you treat your body. Do I have that right? Am I close on that, or am I misquoting you? I don't
Yep.
want to do that.
No, no, you're absolutely right. So I do have strong feelings.
That's good. This is a good
um,
show for that.
yes, yes. So this is one of the issues that I see a lot in just Christian culture, in modern Christian culture today. Um, I see a lot of overweight men in the church. I see a lot of overweight pastors leading from the pulpit. We are called to treat our bodies as temples of the Holy Spirit. So, my question to men is, how are you supposed to be a good temple to the Holy Spirit if you are not being intentional with how you treat your body? And if you are obese or grossly overweight, you are obviously not being intentional with how you treat your body.
I mean, mic drop right there. That's pretty heavy.
I told you they were strong.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. That's great. I happen to agree. I think that's fantastic advice. When you put that out there, what are you met with, especially from, the members of the congregation that are, not quite living the way they should?
Gluttony is not a sin that is talked about often. Um,
Wow.
so it oftentimes raises hairs and says we shouldn't be focusing on this. We should be focusing on other things. Or the other piece, my personal favorite, which is most common, uh, it doesn't matter what you look like as long as you're spiritually strong.
Hmm. Your feeling on that is exactly what? Go ahead.
uh, you should not use your spiritual strength as an excuse to abuse your physical
Knew something like that was coming. Okay.
body.
All right. I mean, there are some other lines there in your bio. How about I take the cuffs off and say, you're talking right now to a group of men who are all claiming to be very strong in their faith. They're all absolutely suffering from, the sin of gluttony. And not only that, but they're indignant about it. And they really don't care to hear what you have to say. You've got them for a minute or two here. What's the message?
Hmm. God has given you a gift of a physical body. You have it on loan from Him. We are to work at everything as if we are working for the Lord and not for men. So, why do you get an excuse to harm and abuse the one physical body that He has gifted you with? Furthermore, how are you supposed to be prepared for doing anything that He calls you to do if you cannot walk half a mile without getting out of breath?
Boom again. Man, wow. Love that. Okay. So let's say that you have Similar group of guys. They are very devout in their faith. They are way out of shape, gluttonous. They're gone. But they don't like the fact that they are. They agree with you on these principles. Many of them may even have recently come into saying, you know what? I used to think like this other group of guys, but I believe what you're saying to me. I'm not happy with where I am. Brother, where do I start? And what do I do?
Oh man, that's my favorite attitude. I don't like it. I want to change. I'm all about it. We can go anywhere from there. No problem. Um, so a couple of things. Number one, start slow. Okay.
Okay.
This has taken you a lot of time to get to this place. It is going to take time to get away from this place. Okay. So don't do too much too fast. If you do too much too fast, you're going to get burnout and you're going to get right back where you were from the start. Okay.
Mhm.
So taking that super practical. If it is somebody that is very gluttonous or very overweight, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The first two things that I would have them do is number one, start drinking more water. Because if you're very overweight, you are not hydrated enough. You're probably drinking soda. You're probably drinking sweet tea, whatever. That stuff is okay in moderation, just like anything else we talk about as Christians. But drink more water is number one. So I start my guys out at a minimum of 64 ounces per day. So that's half a gallon.
Okay.
The other thing that I would say is I want you to go for a 30-minute walk 3 times per week. And I want you to do both of those things for 3 weeks.
Hmm. Okay. Idea there is
Starting to build some habits around healthier choices, getting the body moving, but not doing too much too quick.
nice.
Because this is what I tell guys that come into my program. I'm like, look, this is not a fad diet. This is not a 12-week, let's see how much weight you can lose program. This is let me teach you what you need to know. Let me teach you the basics. Let me teach you what it's going to take so that after we have 12 weeks together, because guys can continue on with me, but if you want to go forth, you have the tools that you need to do this for the rest of your life in a sustainable way, and then teach your kids and your family how to do it as well.
Nice. So you're coaching these guys lead by example and
Correct.
instill fitness as a family value.
Absolutely.
That's where we're going. Nice. Nice. How do you promote your business, man? I'm curious.
It is all social media.
Okay. I mean, that kind of fits. You're a young dude, so I get it.
So it does fit to a degree. I had social media for me. I've had social media for a while, but I haven't. I'm a little bit older than the generation that does everything on social media, so it is a little bit of a learning curve. And I joke with some of the guys in my circle that are better at it than me. I'm like, when it comes to social media, I'm basically a boomer, so I'm learning all of this stuff. Um, so that's yeah. I'd say it's not natural, but we're getting there.
I
We're
see.
getting there.
I see. Because I know that I asked you, how to kind of reach you, and you did say socials, and you said Facebook, Instagram, X. Is
Yep.
there one of those that, is sort of like your lock-in that you get the most from? Or, are you just sort of like hitting them all, going through the motions, doing what you got to do?
Yeah. So hitting them all right now, I would say X or Facebook would be the best option. Just started on Instagram pretty recently. Just started on TikTok pretty recently. So we're still growing there. Facebook, obviously, I've been on it for the longest, and then X, I've been on it for a decent amount of time as well.
Nice. Are most of your clients younger guys, or are they, guys like me?
Most of mine right now are probably between the ages of 30 and 45 to 50.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Most of the guys that I work with are busy dads. Um, some of them entrepreneurs, some of them are not. But yeah, that's the majority of my clientele right now.
Interesting. Okay. So not young guys who are all like, just out killing it. It's dads.
Yeah, so young guys, I can relate to younger guys. I mean, I'm not, saying I'm old by any means, but younger guys typically have a lot of time and not as many responsibilities. And I can relate to that from when I didn't have many responsibilities, but I have a business and two little ones, and I'm a part of some other organizations, and I've got a lot of stuff going on. So I relate very well to the busy Christian entrepreneur or the busy Christian dad. That's kind of my sweet spot. That's I can guys that have a lot going on but want to lead from the front, want to make a difference in their family.
I'm glad to hear that because those are the guys that need the help the most.
Absolutely,
You
yeah,
know, so
agreed.
that's wonderful. You're killing me right now because what do you look like you're 23.
I appreciate it. I'm 30.
Are you really?
I am.
All
Yep.
right. Well, so that's not that bad. I mean, you're not old by any stretch, but I mean, 30, you're still a kid.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't feel it every day, but we're just getting after it.
Well, that's awesome. Okay. And so the business is growing now. This is what you do full time.
It is. Yep.
Okay.
This is what I do full time.
So you got the
So yeah,
entrepreneurial thing going. This is your gig. This is full time. So you're all in on growing this business, making this work. This is how you support the family.
correct.
Beautiful. Love that. Love that you're all in on that. Where are you trying to take this thing? Where do you see this business of yours, this fitness, nutrition, and faith, coming together? Where do you see that going?
Oh man. So fitness and nutrition for me in this aspect is just the start. So this is something fitness and nutrition I know very well, and I know it's something that I can teach guys, and it's something that guys. It's a good place for guys to start, especially if it's if this is kind of the first step in their leadership journey, or their first step to self improvement. Um, it's the I don't want to say the easiest discipline to implement, but it kind of is because you start seeing some changes in your physical body. You start seeing, you feel different, you feel better, you feel more energized. So there's a good it's just a good starting place. You start to get some wins together, start to stack some stuff, and it's all just based on the decisions that you make. So it's not like you have to, you know, go find a business to invest in or whatever. It's just what am I putting into my body? How am I moving my body? And is it giving me the results that I want?
Hmm.
And if it is, great. If it's not, then we change and go from there. Um, but moving forward, I work I work with another company and do some leadership coaching as well. So leadership and marriage, all of that stuff is very important to me. So eventually, sometime down the road, I would love to see this grow into almost a little bit more of an all-encompassing life coaching style business.
Yeah.
And then I have some aspirations of getting on stage and talking to folks and doing some things like that.
Nice. So public speaking is in the future.
I hope so. Yeah,
All
that's the
right.
plan.
I can see that. You got
Thank
some charisma over there. Yeah, I can see you, pulling that off, get up on stage,
you.
slinging it.
That's the
So
plan.
that's fantastic. What, hmm. I mean, what other thoughts do you have on fathers, husbands, people who are a little bit out of shape, leadership? What responsibilities should men be grabbing hold of that they're not?
Mm. So we're called by God to be the leaders of our homes, to be the leaders of our households, to be the leaders of our kids, to be the leaders of our wives. So that starts with self leadership, and that's kind of where the fitness piece comes into it. Is you cannot lead your family well, you cannot lead others well until you are first leading yourself. That kind of goes back to the hypocrisy thing of do what I say, not as I do.
Mhm.
Um, your kids and your wife 100% of the time will follow you more and follow you better if you are leading by example versus just telling them what to do. A good leader leads by example and doesn't just order others around.
Right. Love it. Love that, man. Listen, I love the whole program. I love what you're doing. I love the way you're combining this stuff together for men and doing your thing. Um, in this journey of yours, any regrets along the way?
That I didn't start earlier.
If someone's going to give me a regret, that's the one to give me.
Yep. Yep. And it
It's
didn't
either
start
that
with
or
you.
no, I don't have any because you know what? God's making my decisions, but that's not bad. Didn't start earlier. Yeah. So 8 years in the chicken plant was
Too much.
too many years. I
Too many
gotcha.
years.
So what advice do you have for guys who are thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, who aren't taking that leap, who aren't going out and doing their thing, whatever their passionate thing is, whatever God's calling them to do, and they're going, "Ah, I don't know if it's time, I don't know if I can make it, especially given that that's the one regret you just gave me, which I love. That's very honest. I appreciate it. Knowing that, what advice do you have for guys who are just sitting there on the sidelines?
Go.
Just go.
Just go.
All right, that's
Yeah.
great.
It's the my one of my biggest fears is, well, I have two. One of them is mediocrity. I'm scared of being average. I do not want to be average in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to be an average dad. I don't want to be an average husband. I don't want to be an average business owner. I don't want to be average anything. So that's one of my biggest fears. And then the way that I kind of look at this and what helped me to take the leap, and one of the things that really helped me take the leap was the solar thing. That was God's way of going, you need to get out, and because there was a lot of money promised quickly, and he knew that was kind of what I needed to get out. He's like, okay, you need finances. So then after that, it was just like, okay, now you're out. Now we can do the things that we're supposed to do. So, and then moving forward from there, it's just, he's going to take care of you. And, we know that. I say we know that as Christians, but it's kind of like we talked about earlier in the show. Until you take some action, until you actually start to do the things that you need to do to grow your faith, this just sitting here, that's what you're going to regret in 10 years. So just think about yourself in 10 years from now. Are you going to regret taking a chance on yourself, taking a chance on what God has called you to do? Or are you going to regret being in the exact same place?
Nice.
And
Great
and
advice.
the one for me is if I look back and I'm exactly the same 10 years from now, I would regret that 100%.
Nice. How many more kids you can have?
Oh man. I don't know, man. I love kids. Kids are such a blessing. It's my house is craziness right now. I got one's 4 years old, one's 18 months.
Wow.
Two
Nice gap.
boys. So it's, oh man, it's WWE SmackDown in my living room every day,
I'm sure.
which is incredible. Like it's just, there's so much joy in children, and it's just that's God's way of giving us a little piece of Himself on earth.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And a great way to not answer the question too, because your wife's going to listen to this and she wants to know.
That's right.
That was slick. Getting out of
All the
that.
children, all the
That's
children.
right. I will tell you from experience, the third kid changes everything.
Really? I thought the
It's
second one changed everything.
they lie to you because it's not the
Oh,
second one. The second
come
one's
on,
just
man.
it's just a repeat of the first. You still have two hands. You can grab them both, right? You go out to eat, you can still go to a table of four. You're still fine.
Oh
It's
my
the third
goodness.
one.
Okay. Okay.
The third one, because now you're out of hands trying to grab them,
Mm,
right? You need
mm.
help. The third one sets the dynamic off its axis, and you can't even go out to eat because now you're a party of five, which means it's an hour and a half anywhere you go because they only have
Mm.
two tables, right? That fit in the whole place. Now you're a huge party instead of just folks sitting there eating. Dude, I'm telling you, everything changes. Everything changes when you have that third one, and then you go, "We got this, no problem," and then you can have five, or you go, "We're done." Three's yep, done. We hit our third, and my son, unfortunately, my youngest son, our third one is just like me, but not me now. As ornery as I am at birth. So we went, okay,
That's good. We're good.
we're done. But no, man, I wish you all the best with that. So and good luck telling your wife why you wouldn't answer my question. But that's fine. That's fine.
No problem.
It's all good. We're just casual here. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
all right, man. Listen, I love it. I absolutely love this. I'm so happy for you. I feel so much of your journey. That's why I just keep laughing because I'm like, man, my God, I've been there. Geez, not with health and fitness journey, but business and doing your own thing and entrepreneurship and everything else. And I love your attitudes and the way that you lead from the front, trust God, and move forward and take action. So, is there any one last little thing you want to leave? Maybe something I haven't asked you yet, or we haven't touched on, a point you want to make, or any one last piece of advice for guys before I let you go?
Yeah. So this was super helpful for me, and it's still something that I think about a lot. Um, in every area of your life, whether you're happy with that area or you're not happy with that area, ask yourself why. And the reason I say that is you almost need to be thinking in a different way. So, why do I go to this job? Why have I been at this job for so long? Why am I not stepping into what I feel like God has called me to do? Why is my marriage the way that it is? Why are my kids respecting me or disrespecting me? So that's kind of the just ask yourself why on those things, because so often, and I'm guilty of this just as much as anybody is, we get into daily routines and all of these things, whether it's the daily routine with your wife, the daily routine with your kids, with your job, with the gym, if you go, like whatever it is. And we just get comfortable because we are creatures of comfort, like our body seeks comfort. So we get in these routines, they get comfortable, and then we don't even question them anymore. So, we wake up 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and you're like, I've been doing the exact same thing for 10 years. And it wasn't intentional. It just, I never thought about it again. So intentionally ask yourself why.
Love it. Great way to end, man. Great way to end a great episode. That's awesome. All right. Men's strength and nutrition coach, Sean McManus. The company is McManus Strength and Nutrition. They can reach you on socials, right? You want to tell them about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys just want to chat, if you have any questions, if you want to reach out, happy to have those conversations. You can reach me in my DMs on X at the Sean McManus, my DMs on Instagram at the Sean McManus, or in Messenger on Facebook at Sean McManus.
So that's right. So, and I messed this up before, so I want to make sure I'm not messing it up again. On IG and on X, it's at the Sean McManus. And on
Correct.
Facebook, it's at Sean McManus.
That's correct. Yep.
Got it. All right. And we'll make sure that we put that in the show notes correctly also. And everybody, you can reach this guy there, get some one-on-one coaching going, get in touch with your faith and your fitness and, start leading from the front, like this young man is telling you to do. Sean, thanks a lot for being on the program today, man.
Rory, it's been an absolute honor. I've enjoyed the conversation, and I hope we hit on some good stuff for some guys, and I hope that they'll move forward from here.
I think that you did for sure. Thank you. Thank you for that. Gentlemen, you've had another episode of the Power of Man podcast. And the reason that we bring powerful men like this on to talk about very powerful subjects and frankly give very powerful opinions and standpoints is because, we can't keep living our lives in the margins. We can't keep living our lives going, it's good enough. It's okay. It doesn't really matter. Guys, it's how we end up where we end up. If you want to have better, if you want to have more, if you want to lead, with pride and dignity, you've got to take yourself to another level, which is what he's talking about today, which what I talk to you about guys about all the time. And it's what every single one of you is capable of. And that's why we have the program. And that's one of the biggest things we do here. You have value. And when you recognize that value, you realize that, yeah, it's hard work to get where you want to be, but you're worth it. And you just got to believe it. Until next time.